You are live, Rob.
Okay. Hey, what's up, BGG? Happy Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving. And we are here today to talk to Mr. Arlington Rodgers III. I call him AR3. This young cat is doing big things, and he's at the top of his class. But before we do, I want to just take a moment and have a moment of silence for we had one of our BGG members and contributors, Mr. I'm sorry, Miss Nicole Bolden, and she's from Atlanta. We used to call her Nicole Atlanta because we had a Nicole California, and just a woman that was full of passion, knew what she wanted, and gone way too soon. So we're gonna just have a quick moment of silence for Nicole Bolden. All right, thank you very much. All right, but tonight we have we're going back with Mr. Arlington Rodgers III. This cat is one of my favorites. I mean, I remember meeting him, and good friend of ours, Dr. Margaret Hill, who I listen when Margaret calls me and says something, it means a lot. And she said, "Rob, I have such and such. I want you to help him. I want this and that and the other." And I said, "Okay, I got it." And heard from Arlington. About 20 minutes later, we threw him on a live call with a bunch of people, and he didn't blink. He was ready from day one. So I want to welcome Mr. Arlington Rodgers III. Arlington, come on in, man. Introduce yourself.
Hello, BGG. Thank you, Mr. Mason, for having me again. Definitely excited, for a part two. Always a pleasure when we get together and speak. But hey, everybody. I guess a quick introduction I could do, my name is Arlington Rodgers III. It says it on the little thing on the bottom. I'm originally from San Bernardino, California. I went to Morehouse College where I graduated with a degree in economics. Currently, go ahead.
The house.
Yes, the house. Yes, I graduated Morehouse College with a degree in economics. From there, currently I work for Goldman Sachs as an analyst in the trade management division. And I also am the president CEO of a nonprofit called It Starts With Me Foundation, where we focus on providing high financial literacy for high school students in San Bernardino County.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. And the one thing that people should know about Arlington and his family, they are service oriented. They are for the people, for the community. And one thing for sure, it's all about not just, we need to earn a good living, right? We didn't go to school to be looking for handouts, but these guys get it done. You see where he ended up. He's the first person I ever known. I've been on this planet for a while, and I know a lot of good people. This is the first cat I know to get into Goldman Sachs, and I'm sitting there like, man, he's doing the thing. So, and he's had some other real good opportunities as well.
Yeah.
And he's always in the right rooms. And so we're going to spend a little time with Arlington and talk about some things. So let's start from the transition, from the whole college thing to the professional life. And I remember it was this summer, I think it was, and we had our lunch, and hey, I'm on my way to Utah.
Yeah.
And I gave you a few words of wisdom. I'll probably see you there in probably January, February.
Absolutely. But, okay.
Yeah. That's one of my favorite places. I love Park City and Deer Valley. I'm gonna be bougie and go to Deer Valley. But yeah, man, tell me about being a professional and that transition, because there's a lot of people that are listening in, and they need to understand how that goes down.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think my journey was very unique in the sense that, I'm originally from California. I went to Atlanta, went to Morehouse where I didn't know anybody. I had some family that lived maybe about an hour away from my school, so I didn't really see them that often. Luckily, I did end up going with one of my best friends who I've known since kindergarten. We were literally born on the same day. same hospital, everything. It's crazy. So yeah, so I was able to go with him. That transition was cool. And then by the time the graduation hit, I actually had a hiccup for my graduation. So I was supposed to be graduating in 2019. However, I had some stuff that didn't go through. It was a teacher thing, but we're past it. We're here now. And so I had to actually work. So I was supposed to graduate May 2020. Ended up having to take the class over. She wouldn't let me take it in the summer or anything like that, and they didn't offer it in the fall. So I had to wait literally a whole semester to come back in May. And so during that semester, I actually worked at Arrowhead Credit Union as a teller. And that's kind of where, I saw, the banking and stuff like that, just from that kind of first person perspective. And that was really interesting to me, and kind of how it started my journey actually creating my nonprofit. Because one thing that I learned about being there is how many people just didn't know about finance, like especially in San Bernardino County. I worked for probably the largest credit union in San Bernardino. I would think one of the oldest, if not. And so just seeing how much they built a community, and how people, wanted to talk about finance but didn't really know. I've seen a lot of people, withdrawing their accounts and barely scraping by, and so it kind of inspired me. It's like, people don't really talk about financial literacy. And so from there, I came back in May to Morehouse College, came back in January to finish off my spring semester. And so from there, regular school, things like that. And then I was actually able to apply for a fellowship with the Watson Institute, which is an accelerated program for nonprofit organizations. Well, for it's a social entrepreneurship kind of incubator semester accelerated kind of thing, where they bring you in. I was one of 2,500 applicants across the world. And there's only selected about 16 students. And so I was lucky and blessed enough to be a part of that group. And so they bring us in, they ask us, hey, what are your ideas? Basically, how do you want to save the world? What is your vision? How do you want to save the world? And so you begin to kind of bounce ideas off your mentors and your peers, and you start to create these ideas. So some people want to create clothing programs that donate back. And so for my thing, I wanted to create a financial literacy program. And so I was able to meet so many different people. And then this is how I met Mr. Mason. I was actually hustling up some money to get to the actual program, because it cost about $20,000. And so I was trying to figure out, how am I going to get there? How am I going to get there? I just left college. They didn't have scholarships and things like that. And so I hit up Dr. Hill. I said, anybody, that could help me? How can I get this done? And so she introduced me to Mr. Mason, and it has been a blessing ever since. And so I told him he always has a friend in me. He always has somebody he can count on. If he needs anything, I got him. And so when I was able to do that program, thanks with the help of Mr. Mason and others, I was able to raise enough money, go there, create my nonprofit. And then at the same time, I also was offered a position at Goldman Sachs as an analyst in the trade management division. And so just that transition was so weird. I was actually in the midst. So this is all during 2020. And right. So I was actually we're actually in the midst of the pandemic. So when me and Mr. Mason met, we were 6 feet wearing masks. This is like in the prime time of it. And so it was just so weird. The program that I went, it was supposed to be in Colorado, then it ended up being virtual. Then my job, I had to come to Utah. And so the transition was just really, really interesting, being in COVID, moving to Utah, just even as a Black man, going to Utah, where they call it Mormon country, because it really is Mormon country. And so not seeing a lot of people look like you, going into a firm, one of the top firms where not a lot of people look like you. It was really interesting. It was eye-opening. It was scary. One of the first things that I thought of was, this is during the pandemic, so I didn't have a barber. So my hair was kind of long. It was shorter than this now, but it was long. And so I was like, what am I gonna do? They're gonna look at me weird, because I have earrings, I wear glasses, I have long hair. Like, what are they gonna do? What is the culture like? And so I was scared. It was awkward. And so probably like the first couple months, fortunately I worked from home and I was getting, kind of used to everything, getting my bearings and kind of walking around and talking to people. Luckily I live in Salt Lake City where it's actually really nice. There's not a lot of people, there's not a lot of people that aren't diverse, I guess you could say, in Salt Lake City. And so people were very friendly, opening up, and it was just interesting to say the least. I think the main thing that I learned from it was it really gave me a sense of self. It really taught me, who I am and where I am in the world and why I want to do what I want to do. And as Mr. Mason was saying, I didn't, he said I was the first person he knew that went to Goldman. It was just like, I feel like I have to keep, opening doors and creating those opportunities for people behind me. And so getting involved with like the Black network at Goldman, seeing how we can bring up Morehouse students to Goldman and things like that. It was really key. So I think the biggest takeaway from that is just like, it was really a sense of self.
Let me drop some wisdom.
Yeah.
Let me drop some wisdom in there, because there's a couple of things. You took me somewhere. Just for everybody out there who's coming up and understand, we're going to go a number of times in your career. We're going to find ourselves, particularly as Black and brown people, where, hey, you might be the only one or two in the room. I remember in software, working in software, many times we're going to big events, and everybody knew me because I was the Black guy. It was like two of us, might be 3,000 people, but everybody knew me. But the one takeaway for everyone is if you look like us, or you're brown and you're minority, or even if you're Caucasian and you're going the other way, right? Just remember, you belong in the room. And the other thing I will tell you, because I have my oldest son went to Howard Law, and then when he got up to I think his first practice was in Minneapolis, and they had a group of brothers and folks who were trying to get together and things like that. But I told him, I said, remember one thing, okay? It's a competition. So now that you're in there, they didn't hire you just because you're Black. They hired you because you're good. So you're going to be competing. So everybody out there, remember, when you get in, it's a competition. You're there because you're good and you were the top candidate. And so it's all about performance, and we're all in the results business. So go in there and go hard and make sure that, and that's how by going hard in the paint when you get in there and being recognized as top talent, that's how the door swings back open, because folks are going to, and one thing I noticed too, again, from being in high tech and other places, if you're good, people like you. It's just like the NBA, man, or the particularly NFL, right? We don't. If you're a quarterback, I don't care if you're a brother. If you suck, we don't want you to be the other, right? Likewise. I mean, we want the best candidate. Things have come a long way. We still got a ways to go, all right. But and the struggle is real. But man, I'm so glad to see you in that house right there in Utah at Goldman Sachs doing your thing. Okay, let's switch to let's talk about youth finance, because as you know, with us with learning centers and youth, and then at the collegiate level, and it comes to finance, man. There's a lot of people that really don't understand how money works, credit, and credit, really is a debt score, right? If you don't have any debt, you don't have a score, right? And then going from college and trying to where, okay, I get my first card and all the other things. So you're teaching this stuff at the high school level. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, so that's all it starts with me is just the name of my nonprofit, and kind of how we came about the name is just because I felt like it really did start with me. People always say it's the next generation and the kids, but no, it's about right now. It's about you. It's about what are you gonna do while you're here and stuff like that on Earth. And so we teach all the way from baking basics, what is a bank, how to use a bank, what is a debit card, how to use a debit card, what is a credit card, how to use a credit card, all the way up to we want to introduce the seniors to, again, we don't have our like Series 66, and so we can't give like financial advice, but we want you to learn. We want to bring people in to talk about stocks. We want to bring people in to talk about bonds and other ways to invest. We want to bring people in to talk about real estate, crypto, NFTs, and things like that. And so I think that in terms of youth finance, there's a lot going on right now, especially just in the entrepreneur space and investing space, especially just as a young person. There's a new thing like NFTs and cryptos. Like, this is all brand new. People is like, what is this? What is going on? People, you could turn around, make $1 million just making a JPEG image or something, and then selling it. And so it's such a new wave, and it's actually beautiful to see for someone like myself that actually wanted to create a program that will help introduce particularly young Black people to finance, to careers in the finance industry, because there's not a lot of people like us. And so it's interesting to see these alternative investments be able to be used, for the common person and things like that. And so it's actually, it's really, really amazing to see. It's beautiful to see. I would say, just for youth finance, the key thing is just budgeting and taking it slow, right? You can't, you're not going to be able to make $1 million. You may not be able to make $1 million tomorrow. You may not make $1 million in a week, but you will make $1 million. You can make $1 million. You just got to take it one step at a time, one thing at a time, do your research and go and keep going.
And tell them what you said your father told you.
Yeah, absolutely. And so my father always says, you can't eat the whole elephant at a time. You eat the elephant one bite at a time. So that's one piece of advice that I always take with me. And it's funny, even when I repeat it, because he used to say it all the time, but it's really true, right? You can't eat a whole elephant at one time because you just choke. You can't do it. So one bite at a time, eventually, you'll get there. Eventually you'll be full, and you may be full. Just got to keep going, keep chugging that in. Eventually it's going to be done.
Yeah. One of the things, let me drop some wisdom in here, for those of you who are out there now, you got to get start really, if you don't want to invest in crypto, start really studying it, because it's the new wave. It's not going away. And when I really had a buddy of mine who was just crypto, he was just crazy about he just wants to be rich, and we go everywhere. And I'm looking for a glass of wine, and I just want to enjoy the music or whatever. He's telling me, all I hear him in my ear about getting rich, right? Oh, what the rich people do, the millionaires, they do this. And he's talking to me about crypto. Lo and behold, about an hour later, we're leaving an event, and we stop at the gas station, the Circle K. The next thing you know, at the Circle K, they have, I go to the ATM, and it's not an ATM. It's a
crypto ATM.
Yeah, for crypto. And that's when you got my attention, because no one is going to spend this amount of money and put ATMs, for crypto. And then I drew the line, because right down the street was one of the big, I think, Pachanga, right? One of the big casinos. So I figured, okay, they have some ballers kind of there who got dealing with crypto, and we want to make sure that they have access to the money. And then we're going to tax them a little bit on those transactions. And so that was important. That drew me into really understanding that this is not going away. So one of the things I told myself is, between now and the end of in Q1, I'm going to go heavily into studying. I already have delved into crypto, but I'm going to double down, kind of triple down, but also on the wisdom and knowledge, because there's so much, and particularly NFTs are really funky, man. And I think that's going to be something.
I still don't understand. And I'm trying my hardest, I am, but I still can't get it. But
it's kind of dumb.
It's a beautiful, it is, but it's a beautiful thing, just to see, like, I just read an article the other day about, no, it wasn't an article. It was somebody tweeted out, follow on Twitter, and they said, their son's friend, who's like, I think he was like 13 years old, has almost $1 million, in his bank account at 13 years old because of like NFTs. And so that was just really, really interesting to me, because it's like people are just buying copy and paste images. I don't get it, but I love it because, it's opening the floodgates for people to be able to, have money, make money. It's no longer a glass ceiling there, or the glass ceiling is still there, but we're breaking the glass ceiling. So they have to listen to people now. Like it's a beautiful thing to see, honestly.
Yeah, and people share information, which is really, really cool about it. It's so funny when you talk about NFTs. Imagine being like a top 10% high school player playing football, you balling out, and then all of a sudden you make man, you could be making millions of dollars on something really stupid. What I mean?
Especially now, now that they passed the name, image, and likeness bill, so now you can make money just off of yourself. It's dope. I think in the NFL, Odell Beckham Jr., one of the top wide receivers, if not the top wide receivers, just made himself an NFT, like a little 8-bit image of himself is now worth whatever it's worth.
Yeah, that's great. I won't be buying that one. I'm not a fan of Odell, but anyway, God bless him. Let him make his money. I'm not a hater. But let me go back to something else. Absolutely. Nowadays, for folks out there, you got some incredible apps and these incredible opportunities. One of my favorite ones, and it's funny because I had to rent a truck. I renovated a condo this summer, and I went down to U-Haul. And I have an app that one of my favorite ones is called Stash, because Stash allows you to buy, same thing Robinhood does too, but Stash I like because it allows you to build these accounts, and you can take, $10 or $20 a week, whatever you want, or it could be per month, and allows you to buy, fractions of a share. So I can, hey, I take $20, if you get Tesla for $800 a share or whatever it is, well, man, I'm only going to get one share, but you know what? I can put $20 on it, and exactly. And the Tesla goes up. I'm going to be making money, at a fraction, but that fraction is going to grow, and then I can also get dividends every time I swipe. It's been a really cool. It's been a really cool thing, to, for the small investor. And then, go ahead. Jump in.
No, I love that aspect of it too. Like I preach that all the time, especially, for people who, may be on fixed income or don't have, income like that to be, investing, but they want to see, they see it on the news, they want to invest, like I have cousins and friends that hit me all the time. They're like, yo, how do I get into stocks? Like, how do I do this? And I'm like, yo, just buy fractional shares. Like, just buy what you like. So that way you can learn how to research it, buy what you like. And then you don't have to spend, you don't have to buy a whole share. Not anymore. You don't have to do that. You could just go, oh, well, Apple's a good company, so let me buy $20 of Apple. You're not going to get a crazy $800,000 return, but you're going to get something. So it's just going to teach you, every profit is good profit. All profit is good profit. And so if you're able to just put $20, $10, whatever, just into whatever you like, that's now going to teach you how to invest, like, because you're going to learn, okay, this is how you do this transaction. It's going to teach you just how to be in the market. It's going to build your confidence. It's going to ultimately, it's going to build your psyche just around that aspect, because now you're participating. You're no longer looking.
Yeah, absolutely. Another thing too, I just want to put this out there for everybody. Just right now, we know so goes California, so goes the nation. So California said, hey, in 2035, y'all can forget about riding around in gasoline vehicles. I think with the price of gas nowadays for everybody in the nation, folks are looking at these and they're buying these electric cars. I'm going to the LA Auto Show on Saturday, and what I've seen on TV so far, it's all about the electric car. And some of those whips are really nice. Even I saw that the Mustang looks like an SUV. Man, that thing is tricked out nicely. And so now is the time, if you're looking at investing in things and getting into the market, there are a lot of electric car companies, folks that are producing batteries and chargers. The infrastructure bill dropped a lot of money into new charging stations and other stuff. So there's a plug, I'm trying to think of a plug. PLUG is one that's going to be up and coming. I've been in there for a while. I bought it at the wrong time at first, but now it's on the rebound. So thank God. And
You bought the dip.
I bought the top of the roller coaster.
Okay, yeah,
I should
yeah.
have bought the dip.
Yeah.
So I lost my
Okay,
shirt on
yeah.
that, but it's coming back. So get into folks, look into the electric car space and look at all the subcomponents that make up that market. Lucid, they got a bunch of different things. And not everybody's going to make it, but I watched Ford was a beat up stock for several years, and it didn't get more than $11 a share.
They bought that battery.
Yeah, now it's in the
They bought
20s.
that battery.
Yeah,
They bought that battery. They bought the battery. What was that, around I think July last year, something like that. Something like that. Yeah. And it's and then they bought some other electric car company, and then they just shot up. And I think that's another, aspect of just learning how to get in the game. I think that even just watching the news or just paying attention to the news, not just watching, but paying attention to the news, seeing what's going on. Like, I think last time we talked about that, right? Where Biden passed an infrastructure bill. Okay, that's big news because it's on every news station. Let's see what the infrastructure bill is about. Oh, okay, it's pushing more towards electric and things like that. Okay, so now let me think. The first thing that comes to mind is Tesla. I know they make electric cars. Let me go ahead and invest in that, because I'm sure, this is going to play with that. And then even still with what just happened, I think yesterday, where Biden went into the oil reserves. So there's that too. I think just looking at the news is a huge opportunity, huge way to find opportunity, actually.
Right, absolutely. And just pay attention to, think about what's going on now, and think about what's going to happen, down the road. But okay, so maybe you don't want to go into crypto. Well, buy a crypto that's on the market, like Coinbase or Ethereum, which those are strong players in the market, and they're doing something different. I jumped on another ETF for what was it, for a Bitcoin ETF. Right after when it came on the market. So it's really taking the time to understand not just what's happening now, what's going to happen in the next 3 to 5 years, because we're buying and holding. Don't worry about, but understand some things. You said it, and we said it for years. When we told people in BGG, get Ford when it was $5 and $6 a share, when it's beat up when we got into the pandemic. And it's the long
and those
game.
Companies have been they've been in the works for 100 years for a reason.
Yeah.
Ford has been Ford is Ford for a reason, so you can't go wrong with that.
You can't. And then another play too is understand the S&P 500. The S&P 500. If you get into an index fund, okay,
that's the easiest way.
Yeah, we're gonna let you know. Just the 20-year average is double digits, about 10 to 12%. The averaged over 20 years or so. Don't believe me, just Google it.
Exactly, because exactly. And all that is just a collusion of all the biggest companies in that. You just put your money in that. So it's like, it's almost, the S&P is almost like, if I trust America, then I can trust that. So it's like, if I truly believe that America's on top, then why not invest in those index funds, for sure.
Two, if you're in the S&P and your company's in there and y'all start cutting up, they're gonna replace
you. Yeah, no, for sure. It's
like, delist, let's move him out. Next player, right?
For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, look, man, we're gonna do this again, and the next time we do, we're gonna put up a snippet of real critical topics. So before we do this, anybody out there now, if you got a question for Arlington, now's the time. Put it in the chat, and then if you have a certain subject that you want to see on the next one, we're gonna get Arlington in here, probably about once or twice a month, and he's gonna come in, and it might be just Arlington's Corner. And the idea is we really need to get young folks into the money game. And
absolutely,
they don't want to hear necessarily from a guy like me, right? Because I remind them of their dad, right? Their dad or their uncle. So they want to hear from the young brother. They're gonna hear me in the background anyway.
Yeah, I think that's critical. I would absolutely love to do that, and we could definitely talk about that offline. I think that's interesting. But yeah, getting the youth involved. I mean, I think that's my whole thing. Especially when it starts with me, right? We want the youth to play because the youth they see things we don't. I mean, I'm still a youth, I think, but the youth, we kind of see things from another perspective. So it's all good. I'm all about perspective. So yeah, I would love to be able to do that for sure.
Okay, good. Brandy, you see anything in the chat? We need to answer any questions.
Not as of yet.
Okay, we're gonna wait just a few more seconds, and then we'll wish everybody a
Happy Thanksgiving for sure.
yeah, happy Thanksgiving and
for sure. And then even still, that's another thing. Like it's just so much things come to mind, right? It's holiday season, so invest in. I don't know what. I think some grocery stores have a stock. I'm sure they do, so you can invest in that. People's gonna get them turkeys. Yeah, especially with the price of turkeys this year with inflation. Yeah, but people's gonna be grocery shopping around this time, October, November, December. That's all eating time. So
Albertsons,
paying attention to Albertsons, Kroger, just paying attention to what's going on in the world, like back to school times. Okay, let me invest in Apple. People got to buy laptops. Let me invest in, I don't know, Blackberries. People got to buy technology for whatever, just different things like that. Different things like that.
Absolutely. All right. Anything in there, Brandon?
No.
Okay.
Someone that said to congratulations to Mr. Arlington.
Okay. All right.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. We are so happy for him. I mean, this cat is and he knows some folks too, people. I want to know. I want to know some of the folks he knows. Got to give me the plug, man, and make the introduction. So
of course.
So good. So anyway, so everybody out there from BGG land, and share with your friends. And we are a private group. However, guess what? All you have to do is put in your request, okay? Unless you're a serial killer or somebody that's totally weird, we're gonna let you in, okay? So we try to let like-minded people, bring folks in, and then we also put the content. So what you'll see today, you'll see it out live in Facebook it'll flow out there for about a week or so. But you can always go on to our YouTube channel, right? From inside the BGG, you can go to our YouTube channel and you can see this and replay it. And in Arlington, you can tell folks, hey, you can check out my video on, it's in the YouTube channel. You can send them a link. And so Brandy, anything you want to say about the YouTube channel, Brandy? I'm putting her on the spot. I guess not. So you'll find it if you go inside the BGG page and just scroll down. You'll see there'll be a link there to the YouTube channel, and then just scroll through all the videos. It's a lot. So any video that we do, we do put into the channel, and then we're going to talk about having the Arlington's Corner, and financial literacy for the youth, and young at heart or whatever, and that's what we do. So anyway, we want to
thank that, the young at heart. I like that.
Yeah, young at heart. So anyway, thank you, Arlington, and we sure appreciate you taking the time and breaking everybody off a little bit of your life and your knowledge and wisdom. We sure appreciate you. You're doing big things, and you're opening doors for a lot of people. They're looking at you, and just remember, you compete, man. Go hard in the paint, and just stay on top, man. We know you are, and God's got your back, and so do we.
Absolutely.
All right. So BGG, on behalf of Mr. Arlington Rodgers III, better known as AR3, okay, we want to say thank you for joining us today, and we will see you again. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving. Come on, Arlington, give them a happy
Thanksgiving, everybody. Don't eat too much turkey.
Don't be a turkey.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Everybody have a blessed day. We'll talk to you. Peace.